Right, welcome to Ring Talk. We've got a packed crowd with us today. Hopefully have it at your call soon. But for now, it's on Zoom. Steve, you right?
I'm good. Still
excellent.
Busy working.
We've got a stable of fighters with us. So we'll start off on my top right. Ricky Heavens. Ricky, how you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. Thank you.
You've come decked out in Brentford gear.
I've got it. We're playing at the moment. Not too well, so this is better thing to be watching.
So are you, let's have a quick update from each of you then in terms of where we're at. So are you making a comeback, Ricky?
Yeah, I'll be fighting again. So I think it's probably been about 2 years or so since I was last in the ring. Now I think July would be 2 years. Obviously had a baby, so I've been out of the gym for a fair while. Been back in the gym doing some light training for like 6 months or so and back at properly. Well, a few hard sessions a week at the moment. So once the show's back on and everything's back open and ready to go, I'll be hopefully ready to go once I sort my medicals out.
So it's a proper full-on comeback. You're going to be going for titles.
Yeah, definitely.
Excellent, cool. Right, I'm going to move on. William Webber down in the bottom corner of my screen. How are you, William?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm good. You all right?
I'm good. I love your background. Is that your home gym?
Yeah, that is our home gym. Yeah.
Such an awesome setup.
Yeah, I've got a bag and all sorts here. Yeah, my dad's a bit of a killer. Conditioning.
What's that, Lauren?
The torture chamber.
It really is. Yeah.
Yeah. So you've got. I can see the ring behind you. I can see the bag behind you. Have you got all the weights and that are yours as well?
Yeah. So this is the top gym we've got. We've got the ring and bags and stuff up here, and then we've got a bottom gym, like a second gym that's got all weights and strength conditioning stuff in that we use as well. Yeah, my dad puts it to good use.
You never have to leave home for training. You can just, apart from sparring when you're going out and about in the gyms, you've got everything you need. You must have the best lockdown physique going.
Well, I don't know. I try.
And we'll come on. So, William, you're still young. You've got like masses of time on your side. This is a big hold up, I appreciate, for everyone's career. But, you're in that kind of blessed position whereby you have an entire career in front of you, really, didn't you?
Yeah, I'm still only 22. So, yeah, plenty of time. It's a pain that it's a setback. But, yeah, I am lucky in the way that I have got time on my side. And yeah, there's nothing you can do about it. I've just got to wait till everything gets back to normal, like everyone else.
You keep making the most of that gym behind you.
I know, yeah, I have been, yeah.
You're not going to be far from titles when it comes back, are you?
No, I hope not, no. Yeah, I'm hoping to get back to it and start really pushing forward, yeah.
Yeah, you've been steadily progressing over time. I've loved watching your career progress and you progress and grow as a young man. And it's been a pleasure watching your fights. I always say Steve, one of my favourite fighters to watch.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Although standing with your mum at York Hall when she won't watch you in the ring, bless her, she turns her back and looks at the wall.
Yeah, she just faces the wall and covers her face, and that's it. I think she turns around in the rest in between the rounds and just, is he doing okay? And that's it.
Yeah, she does. I've stood with her.
Yeah.
Oh, bless her, man. But yeah, no, you'll be back fighting for titles. I'd say within 12 months, easily. I guess Steve is the answer to that.
You can win a title now, right? You can win a title now, but it's not about that. It's about being there when you want to stay there and progress on from there. You can win a title now, I'm certain.
And we'll move on. Lauren, how are you, Lauren?
I'm very well, thank you.
You were also in a gym setting.
I am. This is my home gym. Yeah, so It's a converted garage. So I'm quite lucky that during the lockdown and stuff, I've been able to keep busy as well. Yeah, it's good.
And as you alluded to a minute ago, you trained with William in the torture chamber.
That's it. Yeah, so most of the time I've got sessions that I do from home, but sometimes sort of midweek I'll go to calls and do sparring if he's arranged that. and then on a Saturday, I'll be at his for my strength and conditioning. So I've got really good use of facilities. Really, that's kept me busy throughout this time. So
yeah. Well, look, what you got in the back? You got some medicine balls. You got the punch bag.
Yeah, pretty much everything. So you can't see it, but I've got like a rower, a bike, a treadmill, cross trainer. Then I've got various different dumbbells and the, like Olympic weights and stuff. Then I've got spar bars, attachments on the ceiling to add like floor to ceiling balls, that sort of thing.
Nice.
So yeah, it's good. I'm yeah, lucky.
And then you got a poster of me on the other side as well, just on
Yeah,
the
big
wall.
one. Yeah, big
Yeah,
A1.
That one with my old weightlifting or bodybuilding days.
Yeah.
Don't like to boast about it, but. And then Sajid, how you doing, Sajid? We got you in your car.
Yeah, Martin, how are you? I've just finished training and figured it's the best place to obviously do the Zoom call. But yeah, I'm all good. How are you?
I'm good, mate. Are you on the way to the kebab shop now?
Oh, mate, don't tempt me. I've actually gone a whole 2 weeks without a kebab. I'm not even lying. A whole 2 weeks. Fancy one right now, so I'll blame it on you, mate.
I love Sajid's social media. It's just a homage to kebabs, and it's amazing.
Oh god, it's weird because I've had several kebab shops try to sponsor me, but I'm like, as much as I want to do it, I'm gonna have to behave because that's just a recipe for disaster right there. Imagine me being sponsored by a kebab shop, mate. I'll go there every day.
Well, you'd be the best advocate for it.
100%.
So, Sajid, talk us through your career when you're back. Where's it going? Because you're Midlands based, aren't you? As opposed to these guys that are mostly Southern. You're up in the Midlands. You've kind of fought on a couple of Midlands shows in the past. You fought out in, was it Saudi Arabia or Dubai?
Saudi Arabia, Jeddah.
That's the one, on the Khan undercard, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was an amazing experience. Obviously, it didn't end as well as you'd expect. Well, as well as you want. But you know, we're moving forward. So hopefully, when things start opening up again, you know, I'm stepping up in rounds. You know, I leave the decision to Steve. You know, whether to go for titles. Whenever you think I'm ready. So yeah, next step in my opinion is step up in rounds and then go from there.
Steve, out of all these ones, give us a quick overview of where you see everybody's careers at present. And, you know, obviously we've got different, it's interesting actually, we've got different stages of careers of where people are at. So give people an overview quickly of where each of the four of them are.
Let's assume that boxing gets back to normal in September then, and let's assume that all this scaremongering is nonsense and we have some sort of normality. So on that basis, William becomes Southern Area champion within 6 to 9 months and is English champion within 18 months and fights for British title and wins that British title within 3 years. Lauren, she hasn't fought under me yet, but the plan is within 6 to 12 months, we're going to be Commonwealth champion. And then once we become Commonwealth champion, that's the plan at the moment, then we will get a big fight against one of the big TV female fighters at that point when we've got something, because that way we will have something to bring to the table and something to command. And then Lauren will get as far as her ability allows her to be, whether that's world champion or beyond, time will tell, but that will be down to her. Ricky's get himself back in the gym and get going, but there's no reason but I think Ricky he's had 2 years out, probably needs a little bit longer. Maybe I would hope within 12 months, I would think realistically go and win a Southern Area title. And then from winning the Southern Area title, I think we build from there. I actually don't think the delay is actually a problem for Ricky, because I think he's a late developer in terms of strength-wise and everything like that. And I've always felt Ricky would be better as he got older. So I actually don't think the 2-year hiatus is a problem for him. So Jid's had the big experience in Saudi, which will benefit him. I think he's absolutely bang on. He needs to step up, but I think he could either fight for an area title within 12 to 18 months, because once he wins, we want to go on, or potentially even be fighting for an English title in 18 months. I think that's realistic. So that's a brief summary.
Nice. Right, let's touch on this weekend's card then. Let's go. I haven't even got it in front of me, if I'm honest. I'm poorly prepared. Let's start with the main event. We got Conor Benn versus Vargas. Who wants their input into that?
Let's give that to Ricky. He's the expert on the welterweight.
I completely forgot that fight was even next weekend, to be honest.
He's the welterweight expert.
Yeah. Expert on nothing. I think Ben will win. Do you know, I was never really overly impressed with Conor Benn up until his last couple of performances. I think last time out he fought, is it Formella?
Yeah.
I thought he looked unreal. Best he's ever looked. For me, he beats Josh Kelly all day long. I thought he's quality. I think on the weekend he's just going to show how good he is and step up to the next level again and just prove that he is world level.
Sage, what do you think? Yeah, I mean, I know he's calling out Amir Khan, and obviously, well, after the Vargas fight, considering that it will go well for him, but I don't think he's that good enough to take on Amir Khan. It'll be interesting to see because, you know, like Ricky said, the last performances of Ben have been better. They've been getting better as he gets on. So, me personally, I think it's too early for him to take on someone like Amir Khan. So, you know, to see how his performance is on the weekend.
All right, well, let's go on to the next fight that I can think of. Ebony Bridges, Shannon Courtney. WBA world title. Obvious place to start. I'm going to chuck it to you, Lauren, because I know you have worked with Shannon in the past. What do you reckon to it?
Well, I think it's an example of how quickly women can move in their career, really. You know, you've got Ebony Bridges, who's had 4 fights, or whatever it is, this one's her 5th one. I think Shannon, this will probably be her 8th fight or something like that. And it just goes to show how quickly that they're being able to box for world title sort of thing. I think it'll make for a good fight. I think Shannon's really improved over the years. She's obviously turned pro. I don't really know too much about Ebony, so it's hard for me to say how I think it's going to go, but I see a lot of her training videos and stuff like that, and you know, she looks strong. She said that she's an aggressive, come forward fighter, and I think if she goes in with that approach, I don't know, she's got a fighter's chance, you know. I think Shannon will win it just over like technical ability, but to be honest, I'm all out for an underdog as well, so. Yeah, whatever way it goes, I think Shannon will win it, but yeah, I like Ebony. She's cool.
What do you make of the Ebony Bridges approach to it? The kind of the sexualization of her as a female, which she's got every right to do. Like, if she's an attractive female, why not play on being an attractive female and build your following and ultimately your revenue through doing that? As a female boxer, do you think that's disrespectful to the sport, degrading, etc., or is it just making the most of what you've been given?
No, exactly. Yeah, she's confident in doing that, and to be honest, it's working for her. You've only got to look at her fan base. You know, a lot of UK fans are actually cheering for her, and I think, do you know what? If you've got it, flaunt it. I personally wouldn't do it. Just because I haven't got the confidence really to be like that. But I mean, she's come from a, fitness model background. And I think, you know, she's confident in doing that. She's bringing in the fans. She's making it work for her. And I think, do you know what? Fair play to you. Yeah, it's all good.
She used to be a ring girl, didn't she?
She what, sorry?
She used to be a ring girl.
Yeah, that is correct. Yeah.
I was like, I don't have an issue with it. I think, you know, why not? Like, if you're Anthony Joshua and you're a fit male and you go around doing photo shoots in your, you know, just your jeans or your pants or whatever, no one complains about it.
No, exactly. At the end of the day, like, you're your own person and you're trying to sell yourself. You know, we work on selling ourselves as boxers and trying to be the best that we can be. And I think if she's used to that background and she's used to being like that and, you know, putting herself out like that and she's confident doing it, then I think, well, why not? And it's clearly worked for her to date. So, yeah, I'm all for it. It's fine.
But it's not an approach you can foresee yourself taking.
No, not really. No, I wouldn't do that, to be fair.
Steve, what else is on the card this weekend? I need to throw something to William, and I haven't even looked.
We've got Espinosa against Farouk for the WBC international title. You've got Savannah Marshall. I think her fight's fallen through.
Fight fell through, didn't it?
Yeah. And then you've got John Hedges, who lost his first fight, didn't win it, did he? He's having and they got that heavyweight ex-rugby player Nick Campbell fighting as well. So not the greatest. It's not the greatest of cards. It's not the greatest of cards.
That's garbage, isn't it? Crikey. Yeah. All right, William, what do you reckon to it? Who's going to win all these? We'll sweep up with you.
I'm interested to see John Hedges actually fight again because, well, like Steve said, after the first fight, it was a very controversial decision. A lot of people obviously didn't think that he won it. I feel like he was boxing with that amateur style, and obviously pro is different in boxing. Amateur and pro is completely different, and I'm really interested to see how he's progressed and adapted after his first pro fight to this second one. See what he's changed and just what he does. Really, I think that's the one out of all those I'm most interested in. I think.
Well, let me tell you something. You're not going to find nothing out. One of the golden rules of the board is when you get a foreign opponent, they've got to have won a fight or done something to get into the country, right? The guy he's fighting is 0-5, foreign import.
How have they got away with that?
Well, you tell me. 0-5, been stopped twice, coming from Croatia.
Wow.
His last 2 losses, ready for this? His last 3 losses were all against people who'd only had debuts. In gyms. I mean, this guy is obviously toilet. He's obviously diabolical. So
if you tried to get that bloke over, would you be allowed?
I wouldn't get him in. We wouldn't be allowed to bring him in. I know for a fact he's a light heavy. If when William comes back and he wants to fight a light 12 stone 7, and I try and get this kid in, we won't be allowed to bring him in. Not that I would bring him in because that'd be an insult to William if I brought him in. But I'm just saying, if I wanted to bring him in, we wouldn't be allowed to. Now, and you can't, by the way, you cannot say that they're allowing him to come in because there are no British fighters that would have took the fight. At 12 stone 7, I'd have let Robbie Chapman go in with Hedges.
Yep.
He'd have been ready to do it. He'd have got in.
I'd have jumped up to 12 stone 7 on a day's notice for that fight.
So what I'm saying is there is no reason to let. It's not as if you couldn't get a British opponent.
So I don't even think Ricky's joking, are you?
No, I ain't got medical, but if I could get that sorted out, I'd go tomorrow. Don't bother me. I watched his debut. No disrespect to him, he was a great amateur, but I wasn't impressed in the slightest.
I think he could become. I think Williams bang on. I mean, sometimes when you turn over very young, you've got to be matched appropriately. And his first fight against that Dan Arden was far too tough for a debut. But this happens often on these cards. When they turn over kids too young, nobody does their proper research. And they matched him far too hard. Well, now it's gone from the sublime to the ridiculous. They've now matched him with a guy that loses debutantes in gyms. So it's ludicrous. This fight's ludicrous. But, and I said, I think he's got, as William said, he's got talent. But you need something in between the two, not something as ridiculous as this opponent.
Yeah.
You're quite a student of it, William, aren't you? You watch a lot of boxing.
Yeah, I do. I watch. Well, I can't really avoid it anyway. My dad has literally got it on all the time, whether it's on TV, whether it's on YouTube. He's watching it, researching it. He's on it all the time. He's he's literally obsessed with it. Yeah. So yeah, even I do watch quite a bit of it. Yeah, yeah.
By proxy of your old man, I like it.
Yeah, he does. He's always he turns to me. Oh, I've got this video to show you. Oh, I've got this. I've got that. And it's always boxing. Always.
There's no other boxing on this weekend, is there, Steve? I'm not missing anything obvious.
I mean, to be honest, the better cards are coming. The Warren cards. If the fights hold together, there's a couple of Frank Warren cards coming up that are decent. This is, I mean, you've got to look at the odds, right? Farouk is 1-14. Shannon Courtney 5 on. Conor Benn 11 on. John Hedges should be 1 to 1 million, and Nick Campbell 1 to 1 million. I mean, that's what you're watching.
Anyone want to give a homage to Carl Frampton's career off the back of his loss at the weekend? No, don't all jump at once.
I think he's a great fighter. You know what? Watching that fight, I don't know if anyone else thought it. I thought his opponent just looked very big, like too big for him, if that makes sense. But yeah, I mean, you can't take anything away from him. He's a legend, really. I mean, it takes obviously great skill and talent to become a 2-weight world champion. You know, you can't take anything away from him.
It's the latter part.
I think he struggled from the outset, didn't he, on that fight? I think being, long rangey southpaw, I think, he just struggled to get into it right from the beginning. And I think you could tell right from the outset that it was going to go the way that it did.
I think the latter part of his career will be remembered for the big battle with the McGuigans and MTK in the courts and all of that. I think that didn't do him any favours at the end of his career. He had that to go on with. The whole scenario didn't end. It didn't leave him. I felt his career faded away at the end because of that, and I think that's what I'll always remember. I think his career could have been so much better at the end than how it ended up. That's my opinion.
Yeah, a great career, and he always seemed like such a lovely bloke. Like, you don't really hear many bad words about him, but I didn't even watch that on Saturday night, which is pretty terrible, because I never thought he was going to be in it, because he wasn't a super featherweight, and Jamel Herring's a beast of a super featherweight, and the whole debacle around how it ended up on Channel 5, and it didn't even look like they were taking it seriously. Like when you see him pissing about in the bubble, and I don't know, I struggle with that gym, the Jamie Moore gym. It doesn't look like they're taking life too seriously up there. Like it's a retirement camp for the likes of Frampton and Fielding, just having a bit of a laugh, going out on a stag do to fight Canelo. I don't know. It didn't feel like a proper fight to me. Struggled with it. But what a great career, though. What a great career.
Yeah, no, I agree. Been a brilliant ambassador, but the last part of his career with the bad court case, that always will remain. And his career, Pete, at the end, his career, it wasn't ending well, and it was a really bad fight to pick for the end of his career. I'm just saying. I
remember those Leo Santa Cruz fights. They were amazing,
weren't they?
They're the highlights for me.
He's a great fighter, and and everybody says I've never met him, but everybody says he's a nice fella. Shame it couldn't have ended better for him, but he's had a top class career. It could have probably been a little bit better at the end.
Yeah. Right. Let's move on. Let's talk promotion. Let's talk boxers promoting. I'm going to start from there. Right. It was on the back of, when we were chatting with Brad Pauls last week, and I was querying what he does with his downtime during the pandemic and how it's affected his life. And so Brad Pauls, for those that don't know, has been Southern Area middleweight champion. The pandemic has kind of impacted upon his life from being full-time pro to having to go and work away in a school, working with kids with additional requirements. And I thought, what a brilliant story, but he doesn't document it. And I couldn't get my head around that. And so I thought it'd be an interesting conversation to find out from boxers why or what are the struggles boxers have around promoting themselves as people as much as boxers? Because I see all you guys hitting pads, I see all you guys out running, I see Sajid running at the kebab shop.
Oh mate, I'm not gonna hear the end of that.
Is as I say, my social media highlight. So I wanted to touch on, like, what are your guys' thoughts on how and why boxers promote themselves kind of via social media, whatever other platforms you want to talk about? What's the strengths and what's the difficulties in doing so? And do you think there are gaps in the market of how boxers market themselves? Anyone want to start?
I'll start.
Come on, Ricky.
I know, obviously, with social media, there's a massive market to be able to promote yourself. As you'll know from my fights alone, just the Brentford fans alone, the amount of tickets I sell just to those guys. And to be honest, I've been going to Brentford for years and years as a season ticket holder for years, and I don't think more than probably 3 or 4 people even knew I was boxing until about my 4th or 5th pro fight, when I finally posted something on social media, letting them know. And all of a sudden, my ticket numbers were doubling, tripling every fight, just from a few fellas that I've been drinking with or going to watch the football with, or just had known in general for years. But because I never promoted anything on social media and they only knew me at the football, I was missing out on a massive audience. I think there is obviously loads of gain to be made by promoting the right stuff. I think it's just a bit of a mix of laziness and lack of understanding what to post and when to post. Because everyone does the same thing. Like you said, we will just post videos of us training, sparring, hitting pads, running. Is there anything different?
Yeah, I mean, it's the equivalent of me logging onto Twitter and posting videos of me making an Excel spreadsheet 9 to 5. Like, no one would care. No one's going to look at it. And it's the same as everyone else who works in an office 9 to 5. Like, how do you find, or how could you find a separate way to market yourself then? And I know you went down the Brentford route, didn't you, Ricky?
Yeah.
And what's been the net benefit of doing that? Like, roughly, how many tickets do you reckon you benefit from that kind of affiliation to Brentford?
I can't remember. I've never been the biggest ticket seller, but I've never struggled. I think for my debut, I've done a fair few, and then, like everyone knows, in your debut you sell quite a lot, and then the numbers gradually decrease slowly. And then it wasn't until I started promoting to the Brentford guys that my ticket numbers started to raise back to where they were when I made my debut, and then start to creep up every fight. A few more would come along. I don't know. It's difficult, but it was definitely an advantage being able to, because all I was doing really is selling tickets to people that were my friends anyway and would have supported me had they have known what I was doing.
And it's difficult, isn't it? Because with the greatest of respect, none of you guys are fighting for world titles yet. You're not on big TV platforms. It's difficult to sell that vision without being at that level, I guess. Is that fair to say, do you reckon, Lauren?
I think I've always, I've not struggled, but I don't know, I've not had like a major backing behind me. And I think that's one thing that this lockdown has probably helped with, is that I've really focused on the social media side of things. You know, I've tried to set up things outside with my sponsors and stuff like that, and getting, like, for example, I do like a running club, that sort of thing, getting people involved, meeting new people, trying to explain what I do. But yeah, I think you're right. Unless I'm, you know, fighting for a world title or I appear on TV, it's really difficult to get people to believe in what you do. And I mean, that's why I've been posting more on my Instagram and making it like a thing now, where I'm like, right, I've got to put a post up, I've got to show people what I'm about, you know, because, and obviously signing with Steve as well, you know, I really want to push forward for things now. And it's important that I do get that in. So yeah, I've just used that time to do it. But I think as a female, even in like my local area where I live, you know, I think, you know, there's a lot of people that know who I am. They know that I box, but it's really, I find it really difficult to get people on board, and even like my family as well. I mean, I've actually gelled really well with my family over this lockdown, which is good. So hopefully I'm going to have a bit more of a back in there. But prior to that, I didn't really have it, you know, and I'm almost begging, come on, watch me. But I think now, yeah, I've really focused on the Instagram, social media side of things. So hopefully, well, it definitely has grown a little bit. But I think once we start the ball rolling and stuff, we can start boxing and start airing myself that way. I think everything will start getting better and people will start knowing who I am from there. But yeah, it's amazing.
You're quite interesting, like, 'cause I know you do your running club with a vegan cafe.
That's correct, yeah.
I couldn't tell you the name of the vegan cafe, but I know you do it because I've seen your posts about it. And they always stand out because it's not about you training. And I've seen your videos of you training, but it sticks out in my memory that it's a vegan cafe. If I lived in your area and I was a vegan, I'd probably contact you and find out about it.
Exactly. And that's what I thought is, you know, it's a different path, getting to know different groups. Like I'm very much, sometimes I like to stay in my comfort zone sometimes, to be around certain people that, you know, I connect best with. But I know that from a business point of view, I need to push those boundaries a little bit. So, you know, getting involved with different people, letting them understand what I do. I'm building that following, you know, building that interest. And I think that's something, that I really need to work on as a self thing, you know. And it's working so far. So I'm pleased. And
I'm going to throw this one to you, William, because I know you're quite a quiet young man. Like, you're quite... and it's difficult because as a boxer, you train to be a boxer. You don't train to be a salesman. You don't...
No, cool.
You don't train to be a social media expert. You train to punch someone in the face and in the body. Like, how difficult is it for you to do all those things, the training and getting ready for a fight, but also to have to market yourself?
It is difficult. Like you said, it's difficult to sometimes get people on board. Like you said, trying to make them realise the dream, because like you say, you're not on TV, you know, you're not a name. Like, you know, Anthony Joshua sells out tickets in hours. That's it, they're sold out. But trying to sell tickets to certain people, they don't, you know, you can tell them you're good and, oh, I'm going to be the next big thing, whatever, but they obviously don't believe you. Everyone's got to believe that in themselves anyway. Otherwise, you're not in the right sport anyway. But yeah, it's difficult to get people to believe in you and do that. But as long as you've got that self-belief in yourself, I feel like that's the main thing. But
so how do you go about marketing yourself, William? What's your route to doing so?
Well, I've got great support with my family. My friends come along, and we've got as well, my aunt runs a fitness group that she does. And a lot of those people, actually, because they're into fitness and stuff, they are interested in what I do. They like to come and watch me as well. I don't know. I'm just trying to market yourself in the way that I try always to come across as sort of professional in what I do. Obviously everyone's different. I don't like to sort of mess about with what I do and do funny sort of stuff. I know some people I've seen they'll put funny posts out or whatever of stuff in the gym. That's sort of not me. I'm sort of very professional about it.
But do you think, because I often think that side of it's great, but I know you're a boxer. I don't know the other side of you. I don't know the human side of you. And I always think with boxers, I'd love to see more of that. And I'd love to see what makes you tick outside of all the training that you do. Does it ever, would there be a point where you'd be happy to expose that part of your life as well? Or do you just try and keep the two very separate?
I think I do like to keep the two separate, just because I feel like I really, really do live boxing. My life is mainly centered around the boxing because I want to achieve the best that I can and go as far as I can. And I feel like if I was to mix the two together, my outside life and boxing, I feel like it could become complicated and it would distract me a little bit, I think. So I tried to actually keep the two separate.
And do you also think, I'm going to try and word this without being offensive in any way whatsoever, so you don't punch me.
That's all right. No, go for it, honestly.
I don't want to take a right hand, I'm going to be honest. Where you live, and I know you live like quite a Spartan lifestyle of boxing being like your workplace and your downtime almost. Is it difficult that anything outside of that is almost quite, and this is why I'm trying not to be offensive, quite boring in that you are so disciplined in what you do that trying to create something outside of that is difficult?
I mean, I guess so, but I don't know. I feel like I'm just I'm very focused on what I'm doing. I know the route that I want to go. I know what I've got to do to get there, and I just feel like nothing's going to get in my way. I don't want to. You know, my life is basically boxing. I get up, I run, I eat the right stuff, I train, I do what I've got to do, and other stuff like say a bit boring, but
yeah, please don't punch me for using that word.
No, it's a fair comment. It's a fair comment.
Right, so I'm going to throw it to Sajid. So Sajid, in terms of, and I know you missed some of that, apologies, but we're just discussing around boxers and marketing themselves and what approach can boxers take to it? Do boxers take to it? What's kind of successful? What's less successful? Like, how do you go about finding the way to market yourself as a small hall boxer that has bigger aspirations? What kind of works for you to engage with potential fans?
I think the best way to look at it is, look, there's tons of boxers in the same position as me out there. However, you have to figure out what's going to distinguish you from the rest of them, and what's going to attract other people, like you're saying. Fair play to fair play to William. Guy trains like a beast, so that's how we do. Ebony Bridges fight. Most people only know her because of her personality. You ask about how she is as a boxer. Half the supporters don't really know.
No one's ever seen her fight. No one's seen her fight. You haven't got a clue. She's near enough headlining a Sky card this weekend.
But your personality sells at the end of the day. Let's take Conor McGregor for example. That guy can talk up a shitstorm, but it gets in places. And, boxing is a business, and if you have to do it that way on occasions, then you've got to do it.
So would any of you guys and girls, Lauren, consider working with like content creators, people that would do things for you to either create videos or, I think, Ricky, did you have someone that did some of your social media a while back?
Just live your everyday life on top of training for a fight. It is easy to just start neglecting the social media posts, any content that you should be putting out, and that's all that's going to really sell you tickets. Word of mouth is only going to get you so far in terms of ticket sales, and if you're progressing in your career, you need to be selling tickets at this level as well. To sort of backing, you need to progress further and further. And it does get really difficult to do it all on your own. So I had massively.
And when you say it helped massively, does that mean in terms of boosted number of followers, get sponsors, sell tickets? What was the kind of outcome of it?
So a little bit of everything, really. So I think when he first started working with me, I didn't actually have a fight date coming up. But instantly, all my social media had hundreds, if not thousands, of new followers, but they were all actually people that, to start with, they were all real accounts. They were all people that I knew of, people that knew people I know, people that were interacting with me, messaging me, asking about fights, tickets, people that were actually interested in my career. I think I picked up 1 or 2 new sponsors pretty much in about 2-3 weeks of working with this guy. And then when I had my first fight date, I think sold about an extra 50, 60 tickets on top of what I had been doing the few fights before that. So it helped massively in such a short amount of time as well.
So there's an actual like return on investment from doing that. Full disclosure, I know Jordan quite well. Which is why I knew that you had that. Is there a risk? I'll throw it out to William. Like, you're not someone who posts that much on social media. Would you use someone like that? Someone that does the kind of content side for you? Or is there a risk that in doing that, it loses who you are in what you're posting if you kind of allow somebody else access to it?
No, I'd happily work with someone. We actually, I worked briefly with a woman before, Devon. She was helping us. This is way back when I was last meant to fight. I think I had a shoulder injury and I had to pull out. But obviously nothing, because I pulled out. And we were working together towards my next fight after I recovered, but that was last March. Obviously, that was cancelled due to COVID. So we haven't actually had any success in building up towards a fight yet. But hopefully, obviously, when things get back, we'll get back to it and work towards that. But I do try to post on social media, but it's sometimes, I don't know, I feel like it's something that obviously I need to work on. But I think having someone to help you there, like Ricky said, it obviously a massive help. But yeah, I would happily work with someone to do that.
Yeah. And Lauren, like, do you feel as a female boxer, where female boxing is growing as a sport, do you feel there's an opportunity for female boxers to tap into that and kind of capitalize on that growth almost organically through the likes of Ebony Bridges, Shannon Courtenay, that you can kind of piggyback onto that?
Sorry, is that again?
So where there's the growth of the female sport in the UK, would you kind of see there's an opportunity to piggyback onto that? And I mean, I suppose what it comes down to, do you see something like social media being the platform to do that, to be able to kind of build off of their
Yeah,
growth?
I think definitely. I think for women, us, I think, yeah, going off of the back of those and I don't know, following their footsteps, that sort of thing. Yeah, definitely. I think, yeah, I don't know. Can't find it hard to answer that question. Yeah, I don't know.
Let's turn it all around as well, because we've got Steve on. How much of this as boxers, let's ignore the fact Steve's on the call for a minute. How much of it as boxers do you think is your job to promote yourselves, and how much should actually fall in the camp of the boxers, promoters and managers? Like any one of you four can answer it. Like, and I realise it's a difficult one because you've all got an individual responsibility, but what percentage should fall to the boxer and what percentage should fall ultimately to the promoter/managers?
I'm a bit torn in this sense because all my boxing life, I've been promoting myself through social media and stuff like that. Obviously, Steve generates the posters, announcing the event. Every fight except from the fight I had in Saudi, where literally everything else was done for you at that point. And people need to realize that social media itself is practically like a secondary job. Because the amount of stuff you have to get into, the timing, the hashtags, everything, it's practically a second job. So me personally, I think it is the boxer's role to try to promote themselves as much as possible. Obviously, at this stage, when you get to a higher stage, then most of it's done for you, isn't it?
Well, I was going to think, so at the highest level, so when you've got your superstars like Anthony Joshua, for example, the demand for an Anthony Joshua fight is a lot higher than the demand for a Ricky Evans fight at the moment. So the difference is with Anthony Joshua, if a promoter does no work behind the doors and leaves him to do promotion himself, that's money lost by the promoter. Whereas what I'm trying to say is they're at the kind of level where people with or without self-promotion want to watch Anthony Joshua fight. There's such a high demand. So you expect, even though they've done masses of self-promotion over the years, he's at that level now where he could just turn up and expect a promoter to do all the job, do all the hard work for him. He just turns up, trains and fights. Where we're not at that level yet. We've not got that advantage. We've got to build ourselves up. I think it's a case of in the early days, when you're starting out in your career, until you get that fan base and you get the demand for your fights, you have to be self-promoting. There's no other way. There's so many thousands of boxers just in the UK, for example. We're all trying to do the same thing. We're all trying to get to the highest level we can be. And along that way, you're going to have to start out self-promoting as much as possible. You can't expect to just decide one day, you know what, I'm going to turn pro, and walk and find a promoter and expect them to do all your promotion for you and you just turn up and fight. It would be great, but it just doesn't work that way realistically.
And actually, you're all centered around certain areas as well. Like, as much as there may be thousands, there's a large percentage of that are based in London. There are a large percentage of that based in, kind of Birmingham area, a large percentage based in Manchester. It's not like you're evenly spread around the country. So you're kind of fighting over the same marketplaces.
Well, I think also when you get someone like one of these top level fighters like Anthony Joshua again, promoters know how to promote him. They know more about him because he's been there. He's been in the public eye for so long. How do you expect a promoter to promote and market a fighter that they don't really know too much about themselves until we do some sort of self-promotion? And like you said earlier, build a character for ourselves. Where do they start with promoting you?
Do each of you assign a period of time, like over a day? Because, say that you sleep for 8 hours a day, arbitrarily. That leaves, 16 hours a day that you've got for the rest of it. So you've got to presumably work for some of you that, you're not full-time pros. You do work for X number of hours, you train, you eat, you do food prep, you have family time, all these things. Is there time in that day to put aside like 1 hour for social media profile, or do you think like that?
For me personally, I just do it as I go, really. So my aim for social media is, so like as I train, I'll always try and get some sort of footage from that or some little snap that I can put up on there. But I don't really go, oh, I need to put time aside. It's kind of just off the cuff as and when. And then, but there will be times where I'll be like, right, I need to put a little bit more content up. So, right, I'm gonna think about maybe making a video that's, I don't know, a little bit longer, a little bit more interesting. I'll put a bit more time into it rather than just a photo. And also, like, I've got, my brother's really good at video editing as well. So sometimes I'll send him some work and get him to do some bits. So there will be times where I go, right, I need to get a good bit of footage up there or whatever. But I wouldn't say that I put aside time every day to do it. It's kind of off the cuff as and when. But there is times where I'll be like, oh, I've not put anything up for a while. I'm conscious that I need to. So, yeah.
Is that your brother who's a musician, Lauren?
He is a musician, yeah, you know him too.
No, again, because you post quite a lot about him, and I see that, and it's different than hitting pads and going for a run, and things that are different stand out from boxers, I always find.
And that's the thing, like, I'm trying to chase a dream, and he's trying to chase a dream. Okay, yeah, he's a musician, but I understand exactly how hard it is, how tough it is. He spends so much time, I can't even tell you, putting stuff into promotion and trying to get even 10 people to listen or anyone to comment something really positive. It's hard, unless you put some money into it, that sort of thing. So, we kind of work together. I'm like, right, try this, try that. And he's like, Loz, have you tried this? And I'm like, oh no, maybe we should do that. So we kind of work together, different platforms, but we've got the same vision. So we we cross it over really. He'll support me, I'll support him, and again, it allows other people to know about my family and what we're into. You know, it's not just about boxing. I support him with the music and stuff like that. So yeah, that's good.
What about yours, Sajid? Do you consciously put time aside to do anything, or is it more kind of as you go?
With some social media outlets, they tend to penalize inactivity, like Instagram, for example. If you're inactive for a certain amount of time, they lessen the exposure your account gets. So it's a major pain in the ass, but you have to kind of like be proactive on it, which is why you see a lot of people who just comment and reply to a lot of comments, because, you know, Instagram rewards engagement. So like I said, it's a big pain in the backside, but I do try to put some time out to you know, use social media and stuff like that in a proactive way. The thing is, it's like, let's put it in for an example, you know, probably about 100 people will see something, and out of those 100 people, one person will, you know, purchase whatever. But if you weren't active, that 100 would decrease to 50, and so on and so on. So it's a numbers game. So the more active you are, the more people see it and the more exposure you get. So, you know, that's how I tend to see things.
Yeah. And William, for you, like, what's the biggest challenge for it? Is it time? Is it ideas? Is it energy? Is it effort?
I think I've struggled, obviously during lockdown, finding not things to post. You can obviously always post something, but I think it's finding something different. Like, obviously during lockdown, it's been harder to get sparring, and obviously people always like sparring pictures and stuff. I think, it's finding different stuff, especially where you're locked in and you can't really go out anywhere. You're just doing the same, you're training, just doing the same sort of thing. It's finding something different to post. But yeah, I feel like, yeah, I post sort of if and when. I feel like, yeah, when we come out of the lockdown and things go back to normal, it will be a lot easier to post more because there's more stuff going on. There's more stuff to post about.
Yeah. All anyone's ever done. Go on.
It's so important to have the right content as well, because I have looked at like marketing techniques and things like that, and it's like the most people that follow you, they want to follow you because you box. Whereas, say, like, if my main platform is Instagram, if I've got boxing, then all of a sudden I posted a picture of my animal, they're going to go, oh, what's that? And then you end up losing a lot of stuff. Do you know what I mean? So for me, I tend to just make sure that my feed is of the best content that I can make. And so like my stories and stuff like that, that would just be like general day-to-day life sort of thing, because you can lose people if the content's not what they've originally wanted to follow. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so
I like you actually give it some strategy and forethought as to what goes on what platforms in what order. I like it. Steve, you've kept ominously quiet through all of it. What's your take on it all as promoter?
They will do it differently. Very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, where do you see it as a manager primarily? You know, also a promoter and Goodwin Boxing as a whole. Like, what advice do you give to boxers? What help do you give to boxers? And I know as a small hall promoter, Goodwin Boxing do more than a lot. So you have the kind of promotional days, and you get the green screen footage, you get the screens up at York Hall to make it all look and feel like a big event. Like, what do you see, and what advice do you give to boxers to help build profiles?
I mean, I think it's very. I mean, what we do in terms of making the event better is the maximum that we can do, because if I go to see, with all due respect, let's take Ricky, he's the bottom of my page. I go to somebody and go, well, do you want to go and watch Ricky Evans? If they don't know Ricky Evans, if they're not going to come and watch Ricky Evans, it's not going to happen. And I've taken boxers, I've got boxers sponsorships in the past and got people interested, and the boxers haven't then actually built a relationship with the sponsors that I've introduced them to. And that's crackers. and then the sponsors get hacked off and then don't do it anymore. So it's very strange that sometimes boxers don't help themselves. I mean, one of the things that I promised Lauren when I signed her, because I always remember what I promised, so I never break them, is I said that if we get a big title fight, I will rally round and try and get sponsors for that big fight, because that's what I will do. And you can do that for a big fight because you can sell a narrative. You can take her to sponsors, introduce her to people who will invest, and then it's down to her. I can do that first initial introduction, but then it would be up to her to try and utilize that going forward. She's got to win the fight and then keep these people on board. But a lot of times, when I've done it before, fighters, they take the sponsorship money, but they don't then build relationships. So that even shows you. But I can only really attract sponsors for fights that matter for them. I can't attract sponsors for 4-6 round fights. They're not people I'm going to buy into that. I remember when I was managing Nicola Adams, you speak to people and all they ever wanted to do was give Nicola Adams money, or Frank Buglioni money, or whoever it is, because they look at the one who's on Sky TV. So it's very difficult. So the boxers have to build their profile. And then when they get an introduction, they have got to really work hard at that relationship building.
So that first stage, that building a profile, that's like the foundation that boxers need to be able to move up to the next level. Where do you see the requirements sit to build that profile? Is that something that sits at the boxer's door, at your door, somewhere in the middle?
Limits what we can help with a bit of social media footage, but it's about the boxer engaging with these people. I'll tell you, I know he's a bit outspoken, but Sonny Edwards is doing a good job of it at the moment. He's interacting. He can be very controversial and say some crazy things.
He's fucking crackers at times.
Yeah, but perhaps some of his, but he's building a profile up doing it, and he's interacting. People might not like what he says, but he's building a profile up. So I think that the interaction with people is key, and I know that from my financial business when I had a horse racing business, is the interaction with people is key, and the building a relationship is key. And whether you're a boxer or you are a financial advisor or you're running a horse racing business or whatever, it's actual relationship building that's key. And it's the same thing for a boxer. But nobody can build your relationship with somebody else. You have to build your own. If a boxer's got a partner, boyfriend, girlfriend, they build a relationship with them. They've got to build a relationship with people who are coming to watch them box as well. I remember Dylan White fighting on one of my shows early doors. And after his fight, he came out, and nobody knew who he was, but he came out and he spent time with everybody that had come to see him. And he was making himself really, really busy. Now, whereas other boxers will come, go, disappear out the back door and don't make that engagement. And it's all things like that that are crucial. Open days, watch me train, come and see me, do this sort of stuff, interaction. That is key. And there's only a limit to what we can do in the interaction. Our job is making the shows look good. And when it's possible, trying to introduce the boxers to sponsors and then leaving the boxers then to do that. Because there's no point a boxer coming back to me after they've been introduced to a sponsor and 6 months later going, oh, can you approach that sponsor again? Because you should have built the relationship with that sponsor to have done it yourself.
I agree with what you say, and obviously the whole building relationship period. It's in some cases it's a personality trait, and sometimes you have to realize that this may be a good boxer, but he just doesn't have it in him to be able to network to that. So it's one of those things where maybe, granted, it's obviously putting more on your plate, but maybe you could I don't know, put up a step-by-step guide for a boxer to follow, to be able to network in that sense. Granted, it's a skill to learn. However, like I was saying, sometimes fighters don't have that in them.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think it's a fair point, but the problem in life, I think, if you haven't got it in you to network and befriend, people come to you, it's always going to be a problem through your whole life. I think Richie Gray I spoke to was a boxer. He used to go out, he hated it. knocking on doors and business, generating himself sponsorship. And I think sometimes it's something that you have to force yourself to do. It's like the guy that wants to go and get a girlfriend in a nightclub. If he's going to sit in the corner and never go and talk to one, he goes home alone every week, right? So you've got to play the numbers game, and it's just how it is. Just how life is.
The more people you approach, I mean, granted, you're going to be refused more times, but you know, out of 100, yes, and it's just taking that chance.
But I totally agree that not everybody's able to do it. And I think, but then that's what social media does. You can do it behind a keyboard and still do it. Whereas you haven't got to, so if you can't do it face to face, you do it behind the keyboard and with social media.
So do you think, I'll chuck it to Ricky, William, Lauren, Sajid, all of you. Do you think there would be a value in managers, promoters running like training days for boxers to spend a day somewhere where they get given consultation about how to promote yourself, how to market yourself, how to network, and spend, you know, take that day away from the gym, because it's still ultimately training for your career? Do you think there would be a value in doing so?
Yeah, 100%. That is a great idea. You know, like I said earlier, networking it has to be one of the best skills in this modern era right now. You know, if you don't speak to certain people, you know, you wouldn't know whether what they do could benefit you or what you do could benefit them, and come to a mutual agreement. So yeah, I 100% agree with that.
Ricky,
yeah, I agree as well. It's, you know, it's something that we're not really taught, and you kind of have to find your own way with it and sort of what works with you. But if you've got someone that knows what they're talking about and can obviously give you tips and stuff, that'd be really good. It's like, even like myself, like, you know, doing interviews and things like that, it's part and parcel of this game, and that's what I'm learning as well. And for me, starting out, it's not my comfort zone. Like, I don't like doing it, but it's something that I force myself to do because I know that that's going to help. Whereas if I was to go somewhere with someone who could help instill a little bit more confidence in me and how I come across, that could maybe help build my confidence going forward with like interviews, or I don't know, just your basic marketing stuff, things like that. So yeah, I think it'd be beneficial. Yeah.
what do you reckon, William? Would you sign up for a day away from the gym to be coached essentially in something other than the boxing side of it, but something that hopefully would benefit a career?
Yeah, of course. I'd be completely open to it. I mean, going down, like you say, it's even if you go and you gain the tiniest bit of information, it's still more than you had before you went there. And like Lauren said, for example, like she said earlier, you find out things that you like, marketing sort of techniques and stuff, when to post, what to post for the right target audience and stuff. Like, obviously not everyone might realize that when they're doing social media, and to learn extra things like that along the way, it obviously can help people in their career, sell those extra tickets and help you along the way, build your profile.
Yeah, I was like, you guys could go out there and teach someone how to throw a hook, a jab, a cross, an uppercut, all of that, but nobody's teaching you necessarily how to sell yourself, how to sell those skills outside of your own network.
You know, I've got to say, it's a really good idea, Martin. I think it's a really good idea. Because it wouldn't take a lot to do something like that. You could easily put that together.
Yeah, I don't see even doing it virtually. You could do something that would, you know, a one-day course in how to do it that would presumably benefit boxers in some way. As William says, even if you take one thing away from it from a day, I can see there'd be some benefit to it. What do you reckon, Ricky? I'm going to throw it to you as a last. Well, go on, Sajid.
I was going to say, yeah, so learning how to network, it basically gives you an opportunity to, you know, let you be you and showcase what you are as a person, not just a boxer, but you're more than a boxer, being able to network, you know, just be you. So, no, it's definitely a good idea.
Ricky, last one on it.
Oh, yeah, I definitely think it's a good idea. I mean, but I was quite lucky in the sense that the whole way through my career, I've always seemed to be able to pick up sponsors one after the other and keep hold of them. But again, it is all just through network, and I never really approached someone and asked for sponsorship. I just networked with the right people at the right times and kept the relationship going until the offers were there. So I definitely think it is something that it's networking, something that not everyone naturally has, but I do think you can teach people how to become slightly better at it. So even if, like you said, if people turn up and they pick up one new thing which might help them not necessarily even get a sponsorship, or sell an extra ticket or gain anything, but they might learn something new that in the future could help them slightly, then it's going to be beneficial. I definitely think it is something that could work. It's an area in boxing, especially where it is all about self-promotion and marketing. So the more that the fighters learn, especially in the smaller levels like us, where we do a lot of this stuff ourselves, the more we learn, the better, really.
Yeah. And before we sign off, given we've talked about it all for the last hour or so, you all ought to shout out like your social medias, where can people find you, your sponsors, etc. Anything that you can remember that you can brain dump right now on the spot, go ahead and do it. We'll start with you, Sajid.
Yeah, so my Instagram, Sajid Abid, Facebook, Sajid Abid, everything is Sajid Abid because I'm simple. Most of the time you find me, as Martin knows, in a kebab shop. But straightforward. Around my socials.
Ricky, go for it.
So yeah, my social media is on Instagram, Ricky Heavens, and then Twitter, Ricky_Heavens. I just want to shout out to Plan 9 Elite Tattoos, who were a former sponsor of mine and now sponsor me on the side as I manage the studio as well. So if anyone's after any tattoos, especially boxing related, get in touch with us on Instagram again, tattoo at Plan 9 Ealing. Sorry, that's our email address, at Plan 9 Ealing. Platinum Grade Limited, which is a building contracting company who, again, shout out last time was on Ring Talk, are another sponsor of mine and now happen to be my business as well. Southpaw Jab, they've sponsored me since my pro debut, and the boxing promoter game as well. Jack, was sponsoring me while I was boxing before I took a break, but it is a great game which has had a lot of development over the years, and Jack supported my career from the beginning. So boxing promoter game for iPhone and Android.
It is a great game, and Jack is a really good bloke as well.
Yeah, he is.
And William, where can people find you? Any sponsors, etc.? Your opportunity.
I'd like to shout out Trinity Print in Loughton for doing all you've mentioned it before, the posters and the banners that they do for me.
You have the best promoters, posters and banners at York Hall.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Some on the ceiling behind you.
Yeah, they're all the ones from the previous shows. We put them up in the gym. But yeah, no, thank you to them for doing all the posters, and everyone can find me on Instagram and Facebook at William Webber 666.
Nice. Lauren, I want to hear about your vegan cafe.
Yeah, so we'll start off with social media platforms. So I'm mainly on Facebook and Instagram, and you can find me at Lauren Parker Boxer. Big shout out to my sponsor, which is Booty Beats, and that is a vegan cafe in Letchworth. Yeah, they help me out quite a lot. I've got a running club with them, get lots of people involved, which is really good. Just got another one on board, which is Look Logos of Stevenage, and they help with all my printing of my training tops, fight tops, that sort of thing. Going to shout out my dad, JC Parker Installations. He does window fitting, he's his own boss and stuff, and he helps me with all my travel really, so pays me for my petrol, takes me to all my sparring, that sort of thing. And lastly, I will shout out my brother because he is a sponsor because he helps me, Mitchell Parker, who is a music producer, and he does all like my ring walks actually, so he can create really good ring walk music because he can do all the editing and that sort of thing and makes it really different. So yeah, big shout out to him.
Nice. So any boxer out there that needs inspiration for ring walk music, get in contact with Lauren and she can put you on.
That's the one.
And don't forget Ricky's dad, heavens@ringgirls.com. His dad's now.
That's not actually my dad.
It's not your dad.
It's one of the guys I know from Brentford, Richard.
I thought it was your dad. Oh, okay.
No, it's not. You'll see them at my fights. It's where the Brentford banners are hanging down and all the noise is coming from. It's Richard.
I always thought it was your dad. Oh well.
He wishes.
We won't see him at your fights until Steve brings back Ring Girls.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I'm sure if you can work it out, you've got to let him do the ring cards for the night. You'll love it.
Yeah, no, we'll send him up there for sure.
So, Steve, sign off on boxers, social medias, profiles, etc. It's been a really interesting conversation. I appreciate massively, like, the difficulty of doing it can't be underestimated, and like, it's interesting to hear it from the boxer's perspective. And as I said earlier, there's only so many hours in a day of which you've got to fit in family time, eating, work, gym, all these things. So actually to put the time aside to do the profile building is an art and a skill.
And you listen, when you're doing small hall boxing like these guys are, my God, they deserve every credit in the world because it's so hard. And you know there's no money in it. They all got a dream, you know, and you just hope they can achieve what they want. But it's very difficult. But I think it's a really good idea because to actually give some education so they know how to do it is something that I think would be a great idea. I think it's something we'll seriously look into for the summer.
All right, we've got something to take away from it. So thank you, Lauren. Thank you, William. Thank you, Ricky. Thank you, Sajid. It's been a pleasure. I appreciate all your time.
Thank you.
Hopefully we see you all out in September, October, November. I don't know when it will be, but hopefully this year in a ring, doing what you all do best, not having to talk about social media.